Hey, what's everybody? What's up, everybody? This is Tim from Electronic Cafe, coming to you from my music room, my CD room, uh, my Edmonton Oiler watching TV room. It's actually a little bit of snowed in today. Got about 3 inches of snow last night, a couple inches this morning, so didn't go to work today. So I thought I'd do a couple videos today. One artist that I've been wanting to do a video on recently because I just kind of caught up on their work is Jonas Munk. So I wanted to highlight him in this video. He does music under the name Manual, and just recently, in the past half decade, he started doing music with another gentleman, I believe. I can't remember his name, but it's under the name Billow Observatory. Jonas Munk is out of Denmark, very talented musician. Um, does a little bit of certainly ambient. The earlier stuff was kind of tied into the IDM kind of scene, down tempo, kind of a balearic, kind of very hazy, even shoegaze. He definitely has a background and a love for shoegaze. He does some more shoegaze work under a different name. I haven't really got into that yet because I'm not so much. Although I like shoegaze a lot, I'm a little bit more into Manuel's and Jonas's ambient music. So I just wanted to touch a little bit on the history of me with his music, and then run through the albums real quick and just kind of review them and give them a score. First off, I got a chance to probably back in like 2000, 2001, 2002. I was really into the label name called More Music, and City Center Offices and Scape and things like that. A lot of the ambient glitch albums that kind of verged into IDM, but kind of stayed more into the down tempo, kind of melancholy, quirky, catchy, kind of forward thinking ambient music that had a little bit of a rhythm to it. So, so I came across this compilation and it had a manual remix, and it was actually which was kind of fitting. It was the tribute to Slow Dive, the More Music double compilation. That was a tribute to Slow Dive. And one of the remixes was done by Emmanuel. In fact, there might have been two on there. And his sound definitely caught my ear. And I was able to track down some of his first album at the time. So roughly about 22 years ago, um, his first album came out. And just bear with me while I check my notes here. But the first album was Until Tomorrow. So that was his first release under the name Manual. Really solid album. In fact, it probably is his most beloved and probably most favorite by people that listen to them over his career. It's got some really strong work on here. This one is the most IDM of his manual work. It definitely has some skittering beats. There's a lot of whimsical melodies and glitchy IDM beats. Nova, the first track is amazing. I'll Be Fine is kind of Boards of Canada like in a way. The song Frequently, really strong. It's almost Aerovane like for those that know Aerovane. Solid beat in that one. There's also track In, and also Tomorrow. Really strong tracks too. Nice melodies, simple guitar riffs. Um, Sometimes the skittering beats go a little bit too far, and he kind of gets away from that in the later albums. But it doesn't it's not to the point where it's annoying. I know with some people that don't listen to IDM, the beats kind of get in the way of what else is going on. For me, and I think for people that are really like the style, there's this kind of um, critical ear that you develop where you can kind of turn out and turn on different sounds and really focus in on certain sounds. And I think that was originally the catchy part of IDM music in general, was that it was it really had you thinking versus just straightforward techno or electronic music or house music or something like that. Just dance music in general. It's you can focus on different things. There's a definitely a yin yang balance going on that really lends itself to this type of music, and you can really be creative within the rhythms because there's different BPMs going on. There's different structures going on. It's really some of the beats can be really fast, and the melodies be ambient and back and forth, and so it led to a um, huge just a lot of bands making that music, and really it kind of went away a little bit in maybe the late 2000s. I think it sort of evolved and went a little bit more techno and maybe less IDM beats or jungly glitchy beats and stuff like that. But this is definitely a pinnacle of that style. I think if you gauge probably 20 people on what their favorite, down tempo IDM albums of the period, this manual album might come up. So it's definitely really liked by those who get into I wouldn't say the upper echelon IDM artists that you may know, like the Aphex Twin and the Autek and Bola and Aravane and stuff like that, but still top quality, just maybe not as well known. There's like a second tier in that vein with like Phonem and Prom and a lot of really solid artists. And if you follow Manuel and how his trajectory of his career has gotten, he probably has more staying power than a lot of them because he's really evolved his style and really gravitated towards his love of shoegaze music, but also getting more into ambient. And his soundscape and his production is just gotten better and better as he's moved on through his career. So again, Until Tomorrow, his debut album, I rated this at 80 out of 100. If you guys know my rating system or you want to see that video, I'll probably put a link down so you can kind of see, get a view of my the way I rate albums. But 80 out of 100, very very strong album. Um, really really good stuff. One of his best for sure. And that's 2002. So then moving on to 2000. I'm sorry, that was 2001. Moving on to his second album called Ascend. Give this a strong 70 out of 100 score. It's not as well produced as um, Until Tomorrow, in my opinion. The volumes are kind of up and down, on the tracks. It still has a bit of a glitch, but it's kind of fading out on this album. And then towards the next album, really, shoegaze kind of comes in a little bit, although it rears its head a little bit here and kind of comes up in a couple songs on here, but it really comes out of the next song. But this is kind of the last album where it features a little bit more IDM glitchy beats. It's really got a calm vibe overall. You can see the artwork. This kind of became the theme for the manual artwork, kind of going forward. It's very, very beachy and kind of goes great with the mood of the music. It has that kind of hazy soundscape feel. It's kind of down tempo, but you can turn on the background and just keep kind of coming back to it. Um, when you want. It's just really good background music. Again, Ascend, strong album. Not one of his better ones, but still a very good album. And if you're a completist like me, anything that's rated over a 6, because I'm pretty hardcore I'm pretty hard on my ratings. Anything over 6, if I really like an artist, I'll be a completist on and still buy. So this is in the kind of very good range of 70 to 79 rating that I do, and um, that falls right at the bottom of that. So 2002 is Sin. Moving on to an EP he did in 2003 called Asaris. Again, same kind of theme with the artwork. Really, really cool artwork. Gives you a great visual of what you're going to get when you play the album. One of my notes on this is this is a track. This is just a 4-track album. The third track called "Wake" is one of my favorite songs by him. It's so simple, so beautiful. Overall, though, I gave the album a 68 out of 100. The other songs are okay, and comparing it to a full album that has a little bit more solid songs, this falls at probably near the bottom of his discography for under Manual for me. So 2003, Assayers. I think that's how you pronounce it, Assayers. Then we move on to 2005, Azure Vista. This one is actually the weakest album, I believe, by Manual. Um, it's got 6 tracks in it. One track, he kind of goes a little bit into a rock bandish vibe on this on a couple tracks where it feels a little bit more like a shoegaze band, and I don't mind that. This is a well produced album. Again, the volumes are a little bit up and down. I think track number 4, Tourmaline, is probably the most successful sounding on this album. The title song is also pretty strong. But again, probably the weakest album on this. I gave this a 65 out of 100. So being the completest I am, I still have this. And yeah, that's the 2005 Azure Vista. Moving on to 2006, Bunjarma, or Buyarma. I guess the J is silent for us dumb Americans who can't pronounce things like me. So 2006, um, September Swell is probably my favorite song on here. This is almost an EP. There's 5 songs on here. Uh, Solid album. I gave this a 71 out of 100, so a little bit better than the last two. One of his last albums, I believe, on Darla Records, second to last record on Darla Records, which carried a lot of his early records after he was on More Music. So most of the bulk of Manuel's career was on Darla Records. That's actually what I most know Darla Records for, is their work with Manuel. So pretty good album here. I rated this a 71 out of 100, so a little bit better than the last two. Kind of going in the um, right trend here. 2008's album. I can't find the CD for the life of me. It's called Confluence, so I'll have to come back and rate that another time. So then moving on to 2010's Drowned in Light. Um, this one's a little bit more mature. 12 tracks on here. It's a little bit more gentle. This really paves the way towards the Billow Observatory work that he's done. Um, a bit more processing going on, perhaps more modulars are being introduced in this album. There's a track called track number 4. Can't for the life of me pronounce this. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this, but track number 4, most complete song to date. It's one of my favorites by him, probably in the top 5 for sure. It really encompasses all his styles just like perfectly. It's got the shoegaze feel, it's got the ambient, it's got a little bit of glitch in there. The track "Empty" inside track 6 is really strong too as well. Also, number 8, "Morning Glass," 1982, introduces a little bit some more fresh sounds in it. This is probably Manuel really trying to experiment a little bit more and fine tune his sound, and it turns out to be really the last full length album by Manuel. And hopefully it's not the last. 2010, so hopefully it's not the last. It's been about 14 years since this. So um, also the tracks called "Slow" and "Blood Run" towards the end of this album are awesome. Perfect blend of ambient and shoegaze. Really strong album. This one overall, 78 out of 100. I rated this, so towards the top of the Manual discography, right under his first album, Until Tomorrow. So moving on to his last release that I got by Manuel, it's actually an EP called The Wash. Really like the artwork on this. I'm probably going to get this one on vinyl of all the ones. Um, if you know me and how I collect music, I tend to, if I don't generally mix like in dance music, I'll generally buy CDs just because I think CD is a little bit more perfect for longer albums that you don't want to flip over the record. You know, something I can take in the car with me because I still have a CD player in my car. It's something that I can play in my bedroom because I don't have to turn over the record. Um, Tend to listening music, I tend to get on CDs, but you know, if it's a good enough record and I really like it, I'll probably have it on vinyl as well. And this is definitely what I want to have on vinyl as well as his solo. Those are definitely on my want list. This is a really strong EP. It's definitely his best EP by far for me. I gave this a 77 out of 100. Um, excuse me, yeah, 77 out of 100. The title track on this, number one, is just a down tempo beauty, just amazing production. I think for the first time, the rhythms were as good as the sound processing and the melody. Um, you know, definitely one of his best beats that he really did under the manual. Also, Glide, track number two, is one of the coolest beats he's ever done too. So he's definitely evolving really strong on this, but this turned out to be the last manual release. Again, I gave this a 77 out of 100. Really like this artwork as well. Very cool, very cool. So that was around 2012, and then you know for the next couple of years, he didn't put out any music for manual. So it wasn't until about 2000, maybe about 2020, that I realized he was. It was funny. I was listening to Pandora in because I often go to sleep on a few ambient stations that I have, and this track came up, and I just woke up out of sleep, and I was like, "Who is Billow Observatory? I got to check them out." And I went to Discogs, and it turned out it was Jonas Munk under a new name, and I was just like, "Oh wow!" So I just went through and put everything in the want list, and I finally just recently got around to getting his albums as Billow Observatory. I still need to get the first one. It's the most desired one, and that was actually the track from the one that I heard. But hopefully he'll reissue that one. It's kind of a little bit kind of silly expensive. Um, so I haven't actually got around to that one yet, but I have got around to the other four, three under Billow Observatory, and then also the solo album he did. So um, this one's Planes and Patterns from 2017. Again, I haven't heard the debut album. This is my favorite work by Jonas Munk under Billow Observatory as well. Overall, I gave this an 83 out of 100. I recently put the track number four, Planes on a Mix, is kind of the last track. It worked beautifully as the last track in this mix. It's just, Planes is just an amazing song. Plum, the ending, amazing song too. Um, three sounds a little bit like Moby, if you guys ever remember the album he did under Voodoo Child called End of Everything, which is really a sublime, kind of somber, melancholy, but very cool album. It's definitely probably the most underrated, I think, Moby work of the '90s. Maybe ambient as well, but really strong album. Also, track two is a really strong song. So again, an 83 out of 100. I really like the packaging, you know, with ambient music, and I really like this digipacks. Digipacks have always probably been my favorite. The spindles don't break. You can slide it in the cardboard really nice and easily. Compact, it's light, doesn't take up a lot of room in your CD bin. Just really nice to really collect. And then, you know, of course, he started on his own label, so the Azure Vista Records, which you know was one of his 2005 albums that I reviewed there. Azure Vista, that's his own label, distributed by Cargo. So it definitely runs a theme with the other artwork and the other packaging style of the next releases. So again, really strong album. My favorite by him. 83 out of 100. Planes and Patterns came out in 2017. So moving on to the follow-up to that, 2019's Chroma and Contour. Again, another really strong album, kind of evolving along the same lines as that. Color and Six, track number two, one of my favorites on here, as well as Iris, track number four, and Soft Logic. Uh, very good stuff on here. I rated this an 82 out of 100, right along the same lines as the other previous albums, right there. He's really kind of coming to his own by this album. Um, the processing, the depth of the music, the balance, the mixing of all the instruments, everything is very cohesive, very, very nice to the ear, very great sounding. You can listen in close, you can have it in background music. Just really good music overall. Then moving on to 2020, so a year later, he did solo work called Minimum Resistance. I gave this also a 83. Excuse me, I gave this a 74 out of 100. So this one isn't as good as the other two. This one actually has more songs, 10 tracks. This track 5 is my favorite on here. It's kind of flowy tones, kind of come and go, nice washes. Eastern Horizon track number 4 is a good one here. Just not as good as the other ones. Maybe not as focused, but still really solid. I mean, 74 out of 100 is a really strong score. You won't dislike anything on here. I just don't think anything is of the level of the previous two Billow Observatory um, albums. So again, Minimum Resistance gave it a 74 out of 100. And then finally, the last album that I actually got this one on vinyl. It's called Stateside. So this is probably the most in-depth album of the three Billow Observatories, in my opinion. The other ones seem to flow well, but I think this one has a little bit more variation. I also gave this one an 83 out of 100, the same as the Chroma Contour. Really strong album. I think this one, uh, kind of takes it to a different level, experiments a little bit more. Really shows the future of Billow Observatory, and I know they have an album that's on pre-sale right now that I'm hoping to get soon. This one was on, really nice blue vinyl. Unfortunately, I hate to call out people when they do a bad pressing, but I would stay away from this. I shouldn't say I stay away from the vinyl. It's got some pops on there. If you're one that has a huge issue with pops and stuff like that, you may want to just get the CD. In fact, I'm trying to think if this was the one that wasn't released on CD. But if it was, probably get this one on CD. I don't have a huge issue with it. There's a few pops at the beginning and some throughout different parts. It's got some gripes online with about the pressing and having pressed records myself, I know how detrimental that kind of opinion can be. Not everybody is tuned out and won't buy something just because it has a few pops on it. So I, I don't really want to mention that, but it is a possible crux of the physical release on that. So if that's a big deal for you, maybe get the CD. Anyways, it's a really strong album. Gave it an 83 out of 100. The track called In a Stream is stunning. It's ambient dub. He adds a little bit more dub to the production. Really strong. The track called Red Morning. It's a little bit more ominous than usual, which is a really good sign. A lot of times his music is hazy and melancholy and beautiful, but this one adds a little bit more ominous feel, a little bit darker tone, and that's exciting because I always like to um, see a balance of light and dark and that kind of yin and yang. And then lastly, the track Osser. I hope I'm reading that. I don't have my glasses on today. Very strong too. Also more ambient dub. Really nice bass line in it too. Really good bass. Which is different for manual. A lot of times manual stuff doesn't really have a bass line or even a bass, and this one has a deep bass to it. So that's a really exciting change. Is exploring the different frequencies a lot more within the structure of his haziness excuse me, kind of field recordings style. So that kind of wraps up my reviews of Jonas Munk and his music, his manual and observatory. Again, really strong producer. Going on 22 years listening, 23 years listening to him now. Really excited about the Billow Observatory project. He's really kind of gone into his own there. Hopefully, we'll get some manual, releases in the future. I think they're a little bit more, uh, probably I wouldn't say beachy, but a little bit more summery and melancholy. Where the Billow Observatory is definitely better for me, and I think, but I think is a little bit more ambient and a little bit more chill out than Billow Observatory is a little bit more, music you can listen to in the daytime, and you kind of see yourself on the beach and in a kind of tropical environment, listening to some kind of deeper electronic music. So, but overall, really strong producer. Definitely, if you like shoegaze, definitely check out his music as well under his other names. He's got a few names that have ensembles on there, a couple different ones, and they do some shoegaze. And I'm probably eventually going to check that out as well because I do like shoegaze as well. But if you're really into shoegaze and ambient stuff, that would definitely be something that you want to check out. So again, thanks for checking in on Electronic Cafe with me, Tim Humphrey, and the show highlighting Jonas Munk, aka Manual and Billow Observatory. Thanks a lot, guys. All right.